Hello and welcome to the Data Privacy Lawyer. My name is Funmi Owolabi and I'm the principal attorney at the firm. Today's review, we're going to be looking at some AI terms. So I've started a series on the channel. We're going to be looking at different AI solutions because I know that many businesses in the United States are now looking at procuring or obtaining a license to use different solutions to improve their business processes. It's important to look at the terms of service. One, if you are conducting vendor due diligence, you want to know what their practices are related to the use of AI and its interaction with personal data. And then two, when it comes to the contract negotiation, in the event you decide to go ahead and procure the solution, you should be able to understand what the privacy implications are for your organization. So without further ado, I'm just going to adjust my preferences. So you can actually use Beautiful.ai for marketing, sales, something related to startup pitch decks, and then education. So I just want to make a mention of something. In the United States, there are industry-specific privacy legislation that address how marketing can be conducted in some respects, and then education. Both of these are industries where there is privacy legislation specifically in the United States that influence how both of these activities can be conducted when processing personal data. So that's one of the first things that I can identify here. This was last revised 6 months ago, so it's relatively new. I always make mention of this on my channel because I think it's very important. One of the factors that businesses should consider when they update their terms of service is, are these terms of service reflective of how the solution works today? So for example, if the Beautiful.ai is being used for marketing and the organization changes the process flow for creating the marketing reports that influences personal data in some capacity, the terms of service should reflect that change if it's addressed. Same with education. It says here that there's some type of solution that can be used in the education space. Reviewing the privacy legislation in the education space, reviewing the solution, and making sure that the terms of service address your business's obligations under the privacy laws in these terms. That's why the terms of service should be revised on a periodic basis. Now, specifically for artificial intelligence, we know that the AI sphere is moving and evolving very, very quickly. If your AI has continued to evolve, let's say, for example, you've improved the service, is the improvements you've made to the service reflective on your terms of service? So there's lots of questions the business needs to ask. And then from a privacy perspective, has the processing of personal data changed in any capacity? That needs to be reflected here as well. I am intrigued about this. Customers must be at least 18 years of age or the age of majority in the customer's jurisdiction. It's good that they've added this because if they have customers outside of geographies where the age of majority is less, like in the United States, under COPPA, which is the children's privacy legislation, it determines that a child is an individual under the age of 13. So just this sentence alone would not be sufficient for customers in the United States, right? Because they have to adhere to COPPA, which is federal legislation associated with processing children's data. Beautiful Slides Inc. provides the proprietary downloadable desktop application and online software platform that enables users to create, publish, and share presentations. So it looks like this is the solution. I think that these are industries, but if it's being used in the education space, there are still implications with data protection laws. One of my favorite questions for clients is providing insight into what the solution is that they're offering, because that influences the provisions they have in their terms of service. And I was talking originally during this discussion about what are the influences on the platform related to personal data. That's what we look at the firm. How does this service implicate privacy? One of the main ways that the platforms and services implicate privacy is the geographies where they are sold to customers and where they process personal data. One of the thresholds amongst many data protection laws is if the personal data of an individual in one jurisdiction is processed by an entity, there are responsibilities associated with that entity as a result of processing that information. Now, for anybody that's new to my channel, processing is a very broad term in the data protection space that covers any operation or set of operations on personal data. So you really need to be looking at which geographies are we targeting? Are we targeting customers in the United States? From there, you can then decide, do we meet the threshold under certain privacy legislations based on the personal data that our platform or service will process? In order to create, publish, and share presentations, it is most likely that users are not going to need to update health information. So the health privacy laws are not going to apply. Now, I can't know for sure without obtaining additional details about the platform, which is what my intake with my firm generally will collect from prospective and current clients. Beautiful AI will provide the customer and its authorized users access to the services in accordance with the subscription plan purchased by customer from Beautiful AI. I'm intrigued about the insights related to the subscription plan because those are generally presented on an order form. There are many documents that go into a contract negotiation between entities, whether it's a customer obtaining a solution from a service provider, and it's not exclusive to the terms of service. And your business needs to be cognizant of that and read these sections very carefully. There may be additional privacy terms that are contained within the subscription plan that need to be read in tandem with the terms of service. AI features. The platform enables the use of certain generative artificial intelligence, large language models, and other machine learning functionality, and these are the AI features, which may be developed and owned by Beautiful AI or third parties. I think it would be really beneficial for customers to have a list of these third parties who are going to be developing or owning the AI features, and I'll tell you why. Let's continue to read, but if there are implications related to privacy, it's really important for customers to be able to assess their risks as it relates to the relationship Beautiful AI has with these third parties who are developing or owning the AI features. If a third party is owning any of these AI features, there may be obligations in certain geographies as it pertains to how the AI processes data, to include personal data. Now, I say that very loosely because, again, one of the main questions I always ask about products and services is I need very inclusive details about how the products work. And this would definitely be a sentence that I would query because we can see that some of the AI features are actually owned by third parties. What does ownership look like, one, for Beautiful AI? And what is the relationship between these third parties and the customer that is procuring the platform? That will influence what type of legal advisory you get from a privacy perspective on how to mitigate any risks if applicable in certain geographies. There are lots of countries now that are coming out with their own specific AI legislation. Most countries of the world now have privacy legislation, but those are implicated by the AI legislation too and need to be read together. And being able to interpret what your obligations are is something that can be facilitated by your privacy counsel. All output is generated through machine learning processes and is not tested, verified, endorsed, or guaranteed to be accurate, complete, or current by Beautiful AI. The customer is solely responsible for verifying that all output is accurate and appropriate for any and all customers and its affiliates and authorized use cases or applications. I think a lot of the sentences that are provided in the terms of service need to be reviewed very carefully against technical documentation that is either distributed to customers or is distributed internally and updated by the engineering team. When it comes to products and services, there are a lot of different stakeholders that have conversations on what should be displayed in the terms, what should be displayed in the technical documentation that's distributed between customers, and then what is kept internal related to the testing and the features associated with the actual AI. This is a really important disclaimer. I think without additional context and insight into the technical specs, I wouldn't be able to provide advisory without having good insight. The comment that I want to make about this sentence is customers should be cognizant of the disclaimers that are placed in the terms about how the AI functions. There has been a lot of reliance on AI since it's come out, and I think in coming years, we're going to see more and more litigation come out about the usage of AI by enterprise customers who have heavily relied on the use of artificial intelligence that is ever evolving. And essentially what a lot of these service providers are doing is they are issuing disclaimers about the use of their AI in order to avoid any potential disputes about how their AI functions and the reliance that a customer can place on outputs. And I think that's really valuable from a privacy perspective because customers should do their own due diligence. And I talked about this when you have a privacy program, you should do your own due diligence before engaging with any service provider because their disclaimers could influence your ability to exercise or to maintain your own compliance under certain privacy laws. So you need to be able to really read what you're signing up for and understand what it's saying. And that's one of the reasons why I like doing this channel. I think businesses gain a lot of value in understanding what does privacy mean to my organization and how does it influence how we operate and how can we maintain compliance so we can keep our business running, because that's essentially what you want to do. You want to keep your business running. You don't want to get into any mishaps because you don't have awareness about what you need to do and put in place to comply with the law. So I really hope you enjoyed this review. If you have any questions or comments about my opinions on different public-facing privacy documentation, leave a comment below and I'll see you in another review.